CAC meeting to order for Tuesday, March 7th, 7 p.m. I have, we have to appoint, since we don't have a secretary, I'll appoint Kevin to be our secretary for the day and do roll call on that. Okay? Roll call, please.
Yeah. Donna Corbin-Sabinski.
Here.
Kevin Zord is present. Carrie Ann Howe.
Present.
John Hayes is absent. Robert Shagden is absent. Charlotte Riley.
Present.
Jane Smith.
Present.
And Joseph Muller. Present.
Perfect. Next on the agenda is the fire evacuation procedures. In case of emergency, there are two ways to exit the chambers. To my left, to the council chamber doors, turn left, walk down the flight of stairs and out the door. Or you could exit through the door in the back of the building here, and either case, walk a safe distance from the building. Next on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to first off introduce Raquel. She's our assistant planner. Hi, welcome. Yeah. You want to tell us a little bit about yourself, or?
Sure, yeah. I come from 8 years experience with AT&T. I've had various roles in AT&T as well, and my background is in geography, global sustainability from a master's perspective, and geographic information systems for an undergrad.
Great, thank you very much. Welcome. Next on the agenda is our public participation. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to come forward and speak for items not on the agenda? Again, is there anybody in the audience to come forward and speak regarding items not on the agenda? And one last time, anybody would like to come forward and speak regarding items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next on the agenda is our correspondence. Today we were given a new listing of all the people on the inland wetlands, which is nice. And that's pretty much it. Next on the agenda is our approval of minutes. We have two sets from January 24th and February 21st. Do I have any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve both sets.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Donna Corbin-Sabinski.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda, yes. Carrie Ann Howe.
Yes.
And Jane Smith.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes, 4 approved. Next on the agenda is reports of officers and committees. Does anybody have any reports? No.
Reports.
Okay. Finally, we get to old business. Next on the agenda is IW number 580, 230 Shaker Road, Prestec. I hope I said that correctly. LLC, applicant PA Enfield LLC. Prestec LLC is the owner. It's 10,088 square foot manufacturing building addition, I-1 industrial zone, map 94, lot 0008. Could you please state your name and addresses for the record? Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. For the record, my name is Dana Steele. I'm a professional engineer with J.R. Russo and Associates. Our office is at 1 Shoham Road in East Windsor. And with me this evening to my right is Scott Stevens. He's our soil scientist. And also sitting in the audience is John Seagrave. He's the general contractor. Richard Arnold, who is a project manager with Prestec, and David Borghese, who is also with Prestec. So this is an application for a building addition to an industrial building at 230 Shaker Road. It is a 25-acre parcel. It's a rear lot parcel. And perhaps to just walk you through the application, I'll step over to the plans and show you what's going on. And after that, I'll turn it over to Scott to talk about the wetlands that he located. Okay, as I mentioned, this is a 25-acre parcel. You see it's a rear parcel with a long driveway that is accessed off of Shaker Road. And this is the building location on the lot in the middle of the larger portion of the lot. Look primarily at sheet 3, and then we'll go into more details. This is the overall site plan, and I've highlighted with color here some of the key features that I want to draw to your attention regarding this plan. First of all, the existing building is shown here with the striped hatching, and the proposed addition is this gray shaded long portion, which is on the north side of the building. In this case, north is facing to the right rather than up. The building is located in an existing lawn area that's between the access drive, which comes in off of Shaker Road, and then goes around the building, the north side of the building, to the main parking lot, which is to the east of the building. And there's also a fire lane that accesses the west and south end of the building. The blue line that you see here is the actual wetland line that was delineated in the field by our soil scientist. The green line is the wetland line as shown on your town wetland map. So as you can see, that it goes right through the building. And there's less wetlands on the site than the wetlands map indicates. But there are wetlands, and so there are regulated activities associated with this application. Particularly the activity that is the wetlands that are in view are associated with a stormwater basin that's located on the east side of the driveway. So as you come into the site off this driveway, on the left-hand side as you're coming in is a stormwater basin, and that stormwater basin is considered a wetland, and so that blue line there represents the wetlands that's in the closest proximity to our proposed activities. The yellow line that I show on the plan is your 100-foot regulated area. So everything within that yellow line falls within the jurisdiction of this review, which includes about half of the building, as well as the drainage improvements and utility work that's proposed on the north side of the addition. So I'd like to then move on to the more detailed plan. This is at 1 inch equals 20 feet and shows what is being proposed here. So we have a building addition with a narrow connection to the existing building within the existing lawn area in front of the building. Associated with this building are some utilities, mechanical equipment. One is on the east end of the building. This large concrete pad shown here is what they call an RTO. It takes, as I understand it, exhaust and then burns it, and so that it's clean before it leaves the building. And so that involves a stack, a tall stack to discharge that at a appropriate height, and that stack and the emissions from that is regulated by the EPA. But this is going to be a concrete pad. It'll be visible from the outside of the building, and it's approximately 111 feet from the property line, which is about the same distance to the wetlands. So it's a little over 100 feet away from the wetlands. So not actually in the regulated area, but not too far from it. The other activities outside the building include on the back side. I think the plans that you have show this concrete pad in the back, which is for a nitrogen tank. That's also a vertical tank that's above grade that holds nitrogen for the processes that they do inside the building, and we've added a couple of other items: a generator right next to it, and possibly an underground tank for fire suppression. because we're not sure yet what the fire department and the water company is going to be able to provide in terms of volume for the sprinkler system. So that's there as a contingency if it's needed to provide that extra volume for the fire system.
Yeah, excuse me, that's not on here?
No, that's what I said. So the
So you
things
could add
that
those.
we've added are the tank
Yep.
and the generator. Another, this plan has been just recently submitted to planning and zoning, so we have an application that's coming up before them. One other change that's been made is, you notice on your plans, there's a corner of the building, which is the northwest corner of the building, so there was a notch in it.
Yeah.
And the reason for that notch had to do with some building code hurdles that the applicant had to decide how to address it. And that was one way to address it, by maintaining a certain distance from this property line. So that what was driving it all was the distance to this little corner here of the property was affecting that. Well, they found another solution that didn't require that unorthodox jog in the building. So they were able to eliminate that jog by increasing the distance between the existing building and the addition by another 6 feet. So it was 16 feet, now it's 20 and a half feet, so 4.5 feet change. So what that moving of that building has done is it's put our storm drainage, which we're putting in to pick up the roof leaders and the runoff from the roof and some of the runoff from the lawn areas, and to get it into the drainage system, is now conflicting with an existing gas main, which is in that area. So we're relocating the gas main. And also, because of the grading of the building, the need for having an overhead door on the north end of the building, I'm sorry, on the west end of the building, we've regraded this pavement around here. So now all of this pavement, which I've shown by this dot shading here, up to this limit and around this side of the drive, all of that pavement is going to be replaced. So that's disturbance within your regulated area again. But we're not changing the driveway location. We're not moving the driveway any closer to the wetlands. We're leaving it right where it is. We're just raising it up a little bit higher so that it works with the doors of the building. Originally, we were going to have steps coming down from there or not have direct access, but that was something that during the process of the design was deemed important. So this is the next page is our erosion control plan, which depicts the erosion control measures for this site. Essentially, because this is a grass area, they're going to have to strip the topsoil from this area. We're going to stockpile it up here with silt fence around it to protect it, and then any excess will be removed because they're not going to need as much when they are done. And then all of the catch basins in the area. The other key area where there's potential for impacting the wetlands during construction, obviously from sediment, dirty water getting into the wetland system and into the storm drainage. And so silt sacks will be installed in each of those catch basins, so they've been noted on the plan that they'll be protected with the silt sacks that have to be cleaned and maintained during the construction process. In addition to, and I'll just mention briefly as well, the plan that you had did not show a silt fence along this side of the road because we weren't touching the road initially, but now that we are, we need a silt fence there, and so we do show the silt fence there. And then just briefly, in addition to the erosion control plan, we have our erosion control notes and details that include a construction narrative and sequence, which is here below the checklist, as well as a post-construction maintenance schedule, which is what provides direction to the property owner to maintain the storm drainage system so that it continues to function properly so that we don't have long-term impacts, down the road impacts to these wetlands. So that's summary. I don't know if we need to go into the details of the building itself or anything related to that. I did bring those plans if you'd like to discuss them. In our ART with staff, they had suggested that we submit an environmental report regarding the property, which was submitted with the application. It's something that was required as part of the transfer of this property. Prestec bought this property from Anacoil. You may recall Anacoil was the previous name. I think there's still the sign out front says Anacoil, right? So the report is just was provided as a courtesy to demonstrate that there are no existing environmental issues associated with this property. This is an industrial use and it's an industrial activity, and the representatives from Prestec can give you a lot more detailed explanation about what they exactly do. But essentially, they're coating plating for printing plates, lithograph printing plates, and that process involves chemicals and materials that are hazardous and are contained within the building. So one thing that's important to note, and which we did in our narrative, is explain that all of these hazardous materials occur within the confines of the building. And if you go back to the overall site plan, for example, we were asked to note specifically where those hazardous materials are stored in the existing building. And so that's designated here on the plan. So it's the back, that would be the southwest corner of the building. That's an enclosed structure, so it's not open to the elements. It's a contained area. Then the new addition is broken up into two parts, and the chemicals are located in this portion here, which is the crisscross hatching portion of this building. So we just wanted you to understand and see where those activities were taking place, but assure you that they're intended to remain completely inside the building. There's no floor drains in the building where if it leaked, it could get out and get into the wetlands. And so we don't see this as having any impact on the wetlands. But maybe Scott, you would like to talk about how you identified these wetlands and your findings.
We on? Not sure if I'm on. Am I on? Okay. Good evening. For the record, I'm Scott Stevens. I'm a registered professional soil scientist with Soil Science and Environmental Services Incorporated out of Rocky Hill, Connecticut. I've been with the firm since 1987. Like all you, I also volunteer my time, and I'm a wetlands commissioner, or on the Wetlands Commission with the town of Rocky Hill for the last 5 years or so. On January 25th of this year, 2017, I inspected the site 230 Shaker Road in Enfield. We delineated the wetlands and the water courses on the property, dug numerous holes, all throughout the whole site to basically classify the soils and delineate the wetlands on the property. There's basically 4 different wetland areas that I delineated with 76 flags. You could read through the different descriptions of the soils. I'm assuming you have my soil report, but there was Aquence, which is a disturbed wetland soil, Raypole, silt loam, and Tamika Notchog, which is shallow organic soil. Non-wetlands would be the Nenegrit and Tisbury. Then there's urban land, which is basically pavement, buildings that cover, the ground surface, and Uterthence, which is a disturbed, fill or cut soil. The main wetland area that's closest to where the building addition will be is the detention pond area, which is north of the proposed addition area. That area I flagged with 16 flags. There was a couple, 3 different pipes that discharge into it. It's kind of, Dana could probably describe it better than me, but it's a kind of an interesting complex of wetlands, and it flows through the thing like that. As far as water courses on the property, there was a pond located southeast of, there's railroad tracks. I don't think they're utilized any longer, but old historical railroad track. It would be southeast of those railroad tracks. Then there's also a perennial watercourse north of the railroad tracks, and then sort of southwest of the pond is another perennial watercourse. As far as the upland soils go, in the area where the proposed addition is going to be, it was the Nanegrit and Tisbury, which are the moderately well-drained outwash soils, and basically there's fill. A lot of the hydrology in that area has been altered with the pavement, and the detention basin's probably, would you say, a good 5 or 6 feet lower than the area where the proposed building's going to be. So it's been changed. You know, when the property was developed, it was that's why the wetland lines are different, obviously, with the construction of the building and parking and whatnot. And that's about it. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them.
It's about 8 feet.
8 feet?
8 feet. Maybe you could go over to the map and just explain where that pond and the water course
Sure.
are. That might be of interest to them. And I believe they're pretty remote from the area that we're working in.
Again, the property would go this way, that's to the north. So the ponded area is way down here within the middle of the wetland. And then the water course, you can't really quite see that railroad track, but, oh, here it is. Okay, so where that railroad track is, the water course, the perennial water course kind of comes down through this way, goes into culvert pipe, and then it keeps kind of flowing that way as far as I could tell. And there's the detention basin there with the wetlands that are closest to.
Where does that detention basin discharge to?
So there's an outlet pipe in this corner of the basin, and we're actually not changing any of the pipes going into or out of this basin. All of our work is occurring in the existing developed areas. But there's a pipe coming in here. There's a pipe coming in here. There's a pipe coming in here, and then right next to that one here is one going out that appears to go in this direction, and it must discharge somewhere down here. We didn't locate the. So you didn't locate the actual. No, the actual outfall was not readily identifiable.
But it does go down to that.
Yeah, it heads in the eastern
Eastern.
direction. Heads east. That way.
One thing we did note is, I think Carrie Ann noted it this afternoon, the ECAF wasn't in our packet.
That the environmental report
Yeah.
you're speaking of?
Yeah.
Environmental condition assessment form.
Right. We did submit that with our application, so I'm not sure why it wasn't included in your packets.
It is in the file. You would like to see it?
Yes.
Yeah, that sounds right, 13 pages. And then there was some attachments to it, some maps. Yeah.
Sorry, we'll take a couple minutes and
Sure.
get it quick.
Take your time.
Did you notice it forming that way too, maybe? I didn't really go much, there's like a funny, like upland area here, and then I think it kind of might outlet over there too, but I really wasn't sure.
I don't think so, because
I thought all these were inlets.
this is this one's definitely an
Oh,
outlet.
that can outlet too?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe if it fills up, that's probably what it was. Because when I was there, it was probably 2 feet, 3 feet lower
Yeah.
than the water that was, maybe it might fill way up. There was a pipe there. I don't know if that's.
Oh, that must be it, yeah. That must be where it dumps into the water course there.
I saw pipes there. I try to locate those
Oh, I
for
see.
you guys.
You got a pipe there, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'd have to look and see if that's 30-inch, then it's the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it might go that way too. I didn't really look at it that closely.
It's unlikely that it would have two outlets.
I have a question.
Sure.
Where you said that the underground tank and the generator were going to end up going, that's going to be under that pad with the nitrogen? Is that
No, next to it.
it's next to
I'll
it?
show you.
Okay.
This is the nitrogen tank pad, and to the west, to the east is the generator, and to the south is the fire suppression. Yep. The only underground is water, is clean water, yeah.
So Dan, I'm sure we're going to get new plans, updated.
We would like to, if you could,
No, I mean
approve with
eventually.
condition,
Right.
and then we will submit the
Final
final
plans,
plans that
okay.
include all that I've presented tonight.
Correct.
And any other
Pieces that-
conditions that you place on it.
Yep, sure. And then make sure he signs it. It says here that Scott didn't sign the plan, so.
I believe so, yeah, there's a
There's a typo in the.
You think
in
it
the
is?
letter,
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
they're signed.
there's a
Okay, good.
There's a
signature right here.
signature on the copy. It's just the typo in the.
In the here.
That.
We
So
did
it
have
is
that on
on the
another
site plans.
application, maybe it was a carryover from another application
So it
possibly.
is on the site plan, sorry, Steve.
Oh, okay.
Now, with the change of the wetlands location, refresh my memory, I missed the last meeting. You guys haven't been before us to actually request that, correct? So that's a part of this application, to move the wetlands, or you just
We have
asking-
not submitted an application to amend the map. This is just an application for a permit.
Correct.
To
Is that
for-
your intention at some point, or is it you're just looking for the permit to be within the regulated wetlands?
I think that, I don't want to speak for the applicant, but I would suspect that based on their track record so far, they'd be more than happy to if it's something you'd like to see. They didn't want it to hold up their construction process, because that's a public hearing, that takes a little more time. But if that is something that you would like them to do, I'm sure they could come back with a separate application to amend the wetland map.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify to make sure that we were all on the same page
Yeah,
with
we're
regards to the
not, we're not
wetlands
requesting a
location.
map amendment with this application.
I think that was the discussion last time.
Thank you very much for giving us the time to read that. Nothing glaring on it, so. Does anybody else have any questions, concerns, comments? Anybody have any motions? Would like to do a motion?
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve inland wetlands number 580 at 230 Shaker Road with the conditions that updated maps that were presented tonight are prepared and submitted to the town, and including our standard conditions as noted on the draft resolution dated March 7, 2017.
2 site-specific conditions as well.
Sorry?
If you look under site-specific conditions.
Oh, and yes. Didn't have the right page open. And also there's 2 site-specific conditions noted in the draft to be included as well. They are,
yeah.
I'm assuming you don't have these, so
I
I'm
don't,
going to read
so-
them for you.
Great.
The site-specific conditions are, 1, the notes on the plans of page 3 of 7 must be revised so that number 13 requires the applicants to set up a pre-construction conference with the town engineer and the planning office. And number 2, the notes on the plans on page 3 of 7 must be revised so that number 14 requires an as-built plan to be provided prior to the applicant receiving a certificate of occupancy as opposed to being required prior to the release of any bonds.
Great.
Is
That sounds
acceptable?
good.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, can I have roll call, please?
Donna Corbin Sabinski,
Yes.
Kevin Zorda, yes. Carrie Ann Howe,
No.
and Jane Smith.
Yes.
Okay. 3 in favor, 1 against, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. By the way, I like the narrative that was in the packet on how the process works.
Yeah.
It was really interesting. No, it was really interesting to read. Thank you. Yeah. You have to state
Yeah,
why
why?
you're saying no.
Yeah.
You can't just say no.
Yeah.
Because it has to meet the regulations.
Yeah.
Okay, next on the agenda is XIW number 1613, Parsons Road Reconstruction Project. Application for the reconstruction of Parsons Road, Town of Enfield owner, Town of Enfield Engineering Department. Gentlemen? Stay- Let you get set up.
We're looking for it?
My briefcase.
You had it over there.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, that's not it.
Oh, weird. Could be behind plans. No? I didn't do it. I swear I didn't do that magic trick, so. You ready? Okay, all Good evening, everybody. My name is Donald Nunes. I'm a roads engineer with the Town of Enfield Department of Public Works. And tonight I have a consultant with us. His name is Raju, and he'll answer any technical questions, or we brought him along for anything else that you have. So tonight we're going to be talking about the Parsons Road project. But again, must be the microphone. You can shut it off. One of these is on. Make sure that's off.
It's off.
Okay. So again, I'm a roads engineer with Department of Public Works, and I'm one of the 5 management people that helped manage the $60 million road referendum along with other projects. Our Director of Public Works is Jonathan Bilmes. Our Deputy Director is Billy Taylor. John Cabibbo is the Assistant Town Engineer. I'm Donald Nunes, and my other colleague is JP Rodriguez. John, myself, and JP work directly upstairs, while Jonathan and Billy are at the Moody Road office. So today we're going to talk about the separation from the Bridge Lane reconstruction project, how that affects Parsons Road, project specifics, limits, description, summary, and our usual question and comment period at the end. Now, to help clarify, Parsons Road and Bridge Lane were originally part of one project. During the design phase and during the investigation on Bridge Lane, the sanitary sewer was in very poor condition. And at a point later on, we decided to replace the entire sewer system on Bridge Lane from the train tracks on the westerly side right up to Route 5. So based upon all that and how long it's going to take for design, we split the projects. Bridge Lane is going to be a separate entity, and at some point later on this year, or even early 18, we're going to come back and ask for Bridge Lane. It's a very complicated project. We have a very large culvert over there towards the westerly side, and we have a lot of things that we're doing out there, so we're going to be back to do that. So in an effort to move forward, Parsons Road has been split, and we're gonna move forward. So this project consists of about 1.2 miles of complete roadway reconstruction with some very minor vertical and horizontal alignments to it. There's going to be new curbing. There's improved and new storm drainage systems, which the big take-home point is going to be a very large, significant improvement to the water quality. All the catch basins are going to have 2-foot sumps now, except for the last one before the outfalls, which are going to have a 4-foot sump to help trap sediment. A hydrodynamic separator is going to be installed on one of the larger drainage systems, which is on the western or the southwesterly portion next to the train tracks on the southerly side, before that goes out to the large 36-inch outfall. All catch basins are going to have hoods or traps, however you want to call it, to prevent sediment discharge. We are installing 9 new catch basins, and we're going to replace the rest of the 16 of them in their entirety. We're not just going to rebuild them, we're going to replace them with newer structures. We're going to add 3 drain manholes as well. The 4 outfalls are going to discharge to riprap splash pads, which again helps reduce erosion, slows the stormwater that can come off it, and also helps to trap some sediment before it's discharged to the river. We're going to do our standard turf establishment in all the grading areas, and we're going to, again, the biggest thing here is the water quality improvement. We're going to install 25 silt sags during construction, and we're planning on using 4,875 linear feet of silt fence along the roadways. We're also going to use our best management practices throughout our construction activity, and one of the biggest things is there's no work on that existing culvert, that 10-foot structure next to the boat ramp on the southerly side. We're not going to do anything there except for replace the catch basin that's in poor shape there. For those who don't know where Parsons Road is or help, Bridge Lane, this is Route 5, Enfield Street right here. It splits into King Street at this point. This is Old King. So our project starts on the southerly part here, Parsons Road, goes westerly to the first train tracks. The boat launch is in this area through here. That large culvert that we're not going to touch is right here. The dog pound and the treatment plant are in this vicinity right here, and we're going to continue up to the train tracks. We've had some negotiations with the train tracks, and we are not doing anything in the train right away. So we are basically saw cutting up to the property lines, and that's due to future expansion or whatever they want to do. They don't want us touching anything near there, so we are right on that edge of where we're going to go. So we're marrying into that, and that's our logical cutoff points. Now again, the road is in it's in tough shape, for those who don't know if anyone's traveled on, if anyone's traveled on Parsons Road lately, but it's in tough shape. Now, this is from Old King Street looking westerly. There's a large farm over here on the right side. We are going to be putting some silt fence in over here just because we're in a fill situation over here. The road does have curbing, not curbing through here. We are going to be curbing up through here. We're going to leave this open for the farmer and install what's called a Federal Highway Administration safety edge, which it's basically a thickened edge where we're trying to prevent the edge cracking from the farm vehicles. We don't want to limit this farm to entrance into one area. If that person wants to come in over here with a machine and turn around, then we want to let them do that and kind of not hinder their operation. So we're gonna try that over here just to make sure that we don't have that edge cracking and we preserve the road for later on. This is going down the hill. Now we're starting to come down the hill towards the train tracks. Again, there's curbing, and the road is just in tough shape. Again, coming down more. This is a very, very steep incline coming down towards the railroad tracks. You can see them off in the distance over here. Typically, we're not going to be expanding anything. We're going to be staying pretty much within what's here now. There are a couple spots we're going to widen up a little bit because the road's only 18 feet. We're going to try to get 19 or 20 feet. It's not like we're going to come in and put a 30-foot road. Everything's basically staying nearly the same within a foot or two. Coming down this hill, we're going to be installing that one hydrodynamic separator as part of this system here before it discharges into this catch basin right here, which is part of the 36-inch system, which goes directly out to the river. So we want to catch this water from everything coming down the hill, catch it, put it into here, into the separator, and dump it clean, and try to clean it up before it goes out.
Where's the cutoff there?
It's going to be like right. It's not a nice easy straight line either. It's a series of odd angles and jagged, and it's the goofiest thing I've seen. But we're gonna cut it. We're basically gonna cut it right through here, and we'll make it work. Again, this is the boat ramp through here. We're just cutting it off right through there, and this is that culvert that we're not going to be doing anything improving with, because when I show you the pictures of it, you'll probably see why. It's a monumental bridge, and we don't want to be touching it. Again, we're not going to be doing that here. The road is just not good through here, but again, these abutments, and they're in really good shape. We are going to be replacing this catch basin, and this is what it looks like now. I mean, this from a 1985 construction. This still looks great, minus some graffiti, which either someone must have did a low tide mark, if you can see right through there. Someone's actually in there making graffiti marks, but it's in wonderful shape. There's no reason to touch it. It is a little narrow on top. It's like 18.3 feet going road width. We call it traffic calming. So we're going to go with that. We're going to go with that way, and we are just going to be extending the guardrails out so no one's hitting this direct on. We're going to make them correct through there. But again, we're not touching this. We're not going to make that improvement. That is a project in itself. So we decided we're going to leave this as is, and just do the roadway and move on. Dog pound and water pollution control is a little different feel. There's no curbing. Water drains off to the side. A little different feel from the southerly portion. Houses, driveway, everything's right up tight to the road. It proposes some challenges with us with the roadway. Some of the right-of-ways are really snug to the road, and we're right there. And I thought the railroad had a goofy right-of-way. There's some of these through here. When you look on them, some of these are actually like touching the road that's there now and kind of jog in. But we're getting through it. This is in the distance right over here is the other northerly end of the train tracks, and again, different feel. These are turnoffs, very popular fishing spots, whatever it is, and we're gonna make sure that again there's thickened edges through here. We're gonna try to put some. We're gonna recreate or just make some aprons, make some thicker pavements through there, so we're not getting that washout and that kind of things like that as part of it. So from construction plan point of view, again, this is back to Old King Street and Parsons Road. This is the farm we're talking about. We're talking our typical erosion control systems next to the farm. Again, we are filling in a little bit, so we're going to put some there. We don't want our road stuff washing into the farm area. All the catch basins here, 1, 2, 3, all these are going to be replaced. Where again, we're not resetting them, we're not rebuilding them, we're not taking the first 3 feet off. We're replacing them and putting in sumps, again, for water quality. Coming out, again, it's just, as you can see on the plans and that we submitted, all the stuff is just, again, for water quality. Here's that hydrodynamic separator again, again with the, it's going to be well within our work. We're well within our right-of-way to do it. And again, cleaning up, once it goes to there, it comes in, and then here's, on this section right here, you can see that dumps into the 36-inch CMP, which goes straight out. So all the water coming down that hill is going to be treated, dumped in, then we'll clean it up as we go. All these, again, it's the guardrail. This is that large culvert system that you saw that we're not touching. We're extending the guardrail. We're going to be installing silt fence all along the edges, all throughout here. There's almost 4,900 feet of it. And again, just the whole thing is to clean up the water, make sure nothing gets back in there again, because we're so close to the river, even though we're not in really any impact areas per se, but we just want to make sure we're not doing anything bad to the river, you know. The outfalls here, again, are going to be protected. We're going to make sure there's riprap on them. And we're just coming around and we're doing a whole bunch of, the focus has been water quality because of how bad the catch basins are and the condition that they are all now. So that's our primary goal. And again, coming around through the other train track, I tell you about some very funny right-of-ways. We're going to be working up there and not doing any work in that right-of-way. But again, we're up through here. Those turnarounds that I talked about that I showed you in the picture are in through here. Again, the thickened edges or guardrail, whatever we can do to protect those edges. Now again, the catch basin traps, some people call them, these are details or hoods or traps and all the different language, but basically that's what we're going to be placing in every single catch basin on the outbound sides. Our catch basin inlet protections are a standard silt sacks that we do while we're in the construction before that catch basin gets replaced. We're going to insert these to just make sure there's no other debris going in. Our standard storm drain marker notes on all of our catch basins go on. We glue these on after the fact on every single one of our projects. And the standard detail of our silt fence that we plan on installing, 4,900 feet or so. So some of the big take-home points. Parsons Road is in poor condition at best. The storm drain improvements we're doing, again, we're trying to upgrade the entire system, not just, again, isolate. We're trying to do the entire system minus that large culvert. But again, all those improvements there are going to really affect water quality. We're going to use, again, our best management practices throughout the construction activity. It's been well in our specs that we have. It's been well documented what the contractor can't do, and all that kind of. We're really focusing on that. The 9 additional catch basins, the hoods, the traps, however you want to look at it, and the sumps on all the catch basins now, because not all of them have them, will result in basically no impacts to the wetlands and the water course at our project site. We did that through careful design, through ourselves, through Weston and Sampson, to make sure that, again, we achieve that, and with the ultimate goal is environmental stewardship, being so close to the river, being so close to WPC with the operations they have. We've been trying to make sure all that works together in a way. So that was a brief run through of Parsons Road. So if there's any questions or comments, we are available.
It was an excellent presentation.
Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions, comments? Thoughts? Nope. Did I have any motions?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve XIW number 1613 Parsons Road reconstruction with the standard conditions.
Yeah. Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, can I roll call, please?
Sure. Donna Corbin-Sabinski,
Yes?
Kevin Zorda, yes. Carrie Ann Howe,
Yes.
and Jane Smith.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 in favor. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you. I mean.
Okay, next on the agenda is new business, which I see we have none. Right? Number 12 is review of the bylaws. We revised these bylaws a few months back, so this is a revised copy. Have to read them again, like look them over again, and we'll vote on them at the next meeting.
Is it possible to get, like, the red line version of these, or do you guys track the changes that are made, or?
I did.
No, but I mean, within Word, you can do that.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
that one.
Didn't you email us a copy of the red line?
Yeah,
think
so
so.
we made the changes that Donna had redlined in the last, I believe you received
Yeah.
the ones that Donna had
I
I
revised.
still have that email. I can send
Well,
it
I'll
to
still
you.
have it in my
But I
email.
have one for you. Here you go.
So,
Anybody else want one?
I forgot I had, that was in the email.
Oh, here's another one.
So the one that we just got is this without the red
Red
lines?
lines, yeah.
right.
So look through them, and then we can vote on them and get them in at the next meeting. So remember to put them on the agenda.
Yep, they'll be added.
Okay.
And you like that at the end? I threw it in at the end, but I wasn't sure if that's where it should be.
Yeah, that's,
Okay.
that's fine. That's fine. Oh, and we'll have to change the date, because it says approved March 1st,
Oh,
2011.
2011.
okay, yeah, well, we can revise that.
Yeah, I can revise that once we do it. Okay. Next on the agenda is a report of the planning director, but didn't you have a comment?
Yes. I did, I live in presidential area, and the Powder Hollow Sand and Gravel Pit that's down on Powder Hollow Road there, they've been doing a bunch of clearing and grade work really close to the road. There's a really rough swale that's been there for a while, but I'm pretty concerned that the work they're doing, it's gonna, if we get rain this spring, it's gonna go right across the road, right into the wetlands that are right there, and I don't know how it impacts the other wetlands around them. So it might be something Rick, I think Rick should go and take a look for sure.
Yep, I'll let them know about it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so the report of the planning director.
Well, I guess normally now we would be talking about pending applications, but right now we don't actually have any upcoming applications or anything, so.
Okay.
I guess we'll keep you posted if something comes through our office, but,
Okay, that'd be great.
yep.
And Rick doesn't have anything going on?
Uh,
I don't think so.
no, the only thing I think, we're starting to reach out to 160 Hazard Avenue about the
Just
trees.
gonna think of that one. Yeah. Okay,
Other than that, that's really it.
all right. Okay, then the next on the agenda is motion to adjourn.
Do we, what about the, I wasn't here last week, did we, sorry. Since Ginny is no longer on, we need to vote somebody for secretary? Do we do
Yeah.
that when we have a full board?
We could do that at a next meeting, or,
Yeah, we can do it any
Time.
time.
Okay, I was just curious when that had, if there was a
Then why
requirement as to.
put it on the agenda
Should
for,
we put it on the
the
agenda
next
next
meeting?
week? So maybe we can get everybody to show up and vote on that.
sounds good.
All right, so we'll add it.
Yep.
Is anybody interested?
Well, I did it before, I can do it again.
Okay.
her, not me.
Okay. Okay, so add to agenda.
This record has been poorly
Yeah.
since I started working.
All right, I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes, meeting's adjourned.